All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. As you guys know, school shooting taking place in Texas. You see the cops running down the hallway, 4 minutes. If you ask me, this is when the firefight should have, is when it's time to push through. This is a tactical protection review. Learn protection strategies from a protection professional. If I didn't have experience and hadn't been in this position, I wouldn't say anything. However, I do, and so I'm going to lend you guys my thoughts. I'm not a law enforcement officer. I was a United States Marine, and I do executive protection. I'm a professional protector. But what I start thinking about when I see this situation is the countless doors that we kicked in when we were 19, 20, whatever. We were kids. We were in a combat zone. We had way worse guns. We had way worse gear. We were sleep deprived. We were starving. We were homesick. We had way less training, and we were able to get the job done. We cleared, over 24 cities. I did 2 deployments. And when I look at this and I see these police officers here bunched up on the wall, like a bunch of recruits, scared of one gunman at the end of the hall not going in. Honestly, my heart breaks. And, obviously I want to say a lot of things about them. I have a lot of respect for law enforcement. But I think there's a few things that we need to zoom out and take a look at. One, first and foremost, we've created a culture that does not support our war fighters. And I had to deal with that in Iraq when, we were looking at, some things took place and caused our chain of command to start tightening up against us. And we never knew whether they would have our back or not. And it caused a lot of guys to hesitate, and it cost lives. And so now with a culture where law enforcement officers don't know if what they're going to do is they're going to be demonized for it, in a culture where I guarantee a number of these guys have watched their friends get burned at the stakes for doing what they thought was the best thing out in the field when you have to make split-second decisions. In a culture like that, what you get is you get all the good war fighters, you get all the warriors, they leave. I'm not going to put my life on the line and hold the ability to feed my family, my ability to provide in the balance of some person who isn't downrange with me to judge my actions afterwards. So there's some things I think in culture we need to look at. If we want to have capable and competent war fighters, we need to support our law enforcement, and we need to get them better training. This is, in my opinion, and the opinion of some of my law enforcement buddies, a result of bad scenario. They haven't, real life, real world scenario based training is how you curb this edge and learn how to deal with the stress and fear that you inevitably face when it's time to get ready to give your life to do your job. A lack of funding is only going to contribute to us having a soft fighting force here at home, which is our law enforcement officers who are supposed to stand between us and evil. Now let's dig into this video, and it's only going to get a little bit rougher for everyone involved. I want you to pay attention to these timestamps as we go through here and actually watch everything that takes place. We're looking at 36 minutes right now. 36 minutes, there's been a gunman down there. 48 minutes, there's been a gunman down there. If you are on detainment, if you're making sure no one gets inside of a structure and there's an active shooter, every single second counts. If you are on detainment, if you're on the perimeter and you're making sure no one's getting into that structure, all you are doing is helping that active shooter carry out his will. He is dominating that environment because there are no good people in there with guns. And until there's going to be bloodshed. At 77 minutes, we get into a firefight with the bad guy. We are professional gunfighters. We're professional protectors. And we're all outside of a classroom like a bunch of kids, like a bunch of new recruits that don't know what they're doing, hiding out for 77 minutes, allowing that gunman to do and carry out his intent in that environment. You are doing nothing but aiding and abetting an active shooter. If you are outside, making sure no good people get in. I don't care if good people want to get in there with brooms and mops. They need to get in there with the brooms and mops to stop the active shooter, because until good people get in there, that man is going to be able to, or human, or whatever it is going to be able to do whatever they want in that environment. So understand, in situations like this, seconds count, let alone 77 minutes. That cost lots of lives, and that must be noted. Another thing I want to point out here is this right here. This is unacceptable. I say this with respect. I say this with love. This is actually a love language of warriors. You have got to be at a level, if you are a professional protector, of physical potency to be able to outperform the adversary, outperform evil people. The reality is they're out there right now getting their stripes. They're out there right now getting their cuts. They're out there right now doing dirty deeds, getting jumped into gangs, doing things to get their to living a dark life. And 90% of us just want to go to work and live with our families, so we neglect the art of protection. But you must be in shape, because this is your first tool. Your second tool is your physical body, and you must be able to outperform those guys. If you're too gassed to be able to use the bandwidth here and bring everything here to bear, then you're nothing but a person that the guys on the left and right to you can't depend on you. You are a liability, let alone the people who are paying you to protect them. These jobs, and I always say this on my podcast, it's more than just a job, it's a lifestyle, right? These jobs, it's not enough to just be on the force and collect a paycheck because you got the job. Good for you. You've got to be as advertised. You have to be legit if you're doing these jobs with these weapons against these bad guys who are down here at the end of the hallway. So keep that in mind as you look at your teams. You see, you got the guy that's a little overweight. We love him, but we want him to. He needs to be able to perform, right? And you know, weight management can be one of the most difficult things that a human has to do in their lifetime, but it's got to be done if you're active in this game. Okay, so considerations, cultural considerations. What have we done to our law enforcement agencies? Physical fitness considerations, right? And then the ultimate, the warrior ethos, man. You've got to be willing to step out and do those things that need to be done. There's an honor, there's a code. This is unacceptable. 57 minutes in, these guys go down the hallway, and I've got this guy, I've got hand sanitizer man over here, getting hand sanitizer in the middle of a firefight. This just goes to show how unplugged and unconnected some of these guys are from these actual encounters. This guy, I wanted to say maybe he's a civilian, maybe he's a news reporter, and he has completely oblivious to everything that's going on. But it just goes to show you, I don't think he made a conscious decision to go get hand sanitizer. I think that he's been in our culture that's so detached from reality that what he does when he's uncomfortable, his nervous behavior is finding a way to sanitize his hands. He probably has a mask on under there. No shame if you want to wear masks. I'm just saying, in this application, in this environment, and this situation is disgusting. And ultimately, I did see that he does have a weapon on his hip, and actually it looks like he is somewhere in the department, and decides to go and get his hands sanitized while he's in the middle of this thing. The last thing I want to point out to you guys real quick is this. Heraclitus has a quote. He says, out of 100 men, 90 of them are just targets. 9 of them do all the real fighting, and we are fortunate to have them. But out of all of them, there is the one. There is the one, and he is a warrior, and he will bring the rest of them home. And we see that play out here. 90 of them are just targets. Over here, lining up on the wall for 48 minutes, no idea what to do, scared because there's one gunman at the end of the hall, right? Everyone's at bay. They're not even in a direct firefight. They're not even being suppressed. I got my man in the corner. I got nothing but grown men with guns back here. And I think this says a lot about how a lot of things in masculine culture and warrior culture have been lost by us making everything over PC. But then what you see happen here before not too long is you see a guy come up out of nowhere. You can kind of see him if you look up and to the left. He comes up out of nowhere. You see my man here in the red. Right next to him is a guy in shorts. And you got to remember, the door they're going to hit is down the hall on the left. And I'm going to point this guy out to you because a pluribus unum, out of many, one. This guy right here, he's wearing short sleeves and he is wearing shorts. I guarantee, I bet you he wasn't even on duty that day. And from what I can see in the cameras, it looks like he showed up, got everyone lined up, and he decided, we're going. That's the guy you want to be. You want to be this guy right here, going to hit that door, going into the fray at the end of the hallway. That's the guy you want to be. And what happens when you have that one guy, the warrior that brings the rest of them home? Look at what happens. Everyone's standing around, and the warrior shows up, and everyone who is capable, who has the warrior ethos in them, but they just need a good warrior, everyone else, boom, they start to fall in line. and they get ready to go. And everyone is hitting that hallway and everyone's getting to work. And that's what you need to get your fighting force. Get them moving, get them downrange, and get them to do what they need to do. Hey, look, this is not just talk, guys. I've given my whole life to this work. We have training solutions for law enforcement, for professional protectors and civilians. Go to my website, Byron Rodgers Motivation, see the different ways you can train with us. And we do real world training by instructors who operate in high risk, high threat environments all over the world. You can learn from us online. We have an online library that's taught by some of the most elite protectors in the world as well. But I'm a protector by nature and by trade. My purpose is to make the world a safer place by helping good people to become more dangerous. Let's not let this happen again. Let's learn from it and let's do better. Byron Rodgers, protector by nature and by trade. I'll see you all on the next video, out in the field or training. Out.